Welcome along to Canberra, where I arrived yesterday, where the Lions play the Brumbies on Wednesday for what could be their toughest match of the tour. Have a little look around. A bit grey, a bit colder as you would expect, but we're here on the ground. So welcome back to the channel. In this video, I thought I'd chat a little bit about the Wallabies and their match against Fiji yesterday that they won, I think, thank goodness, in terms of the interest in the Lions tour. And then I'll also get on some issues with the TMO that I think we saw in the Lions game against the Waratahs. I think we saw it in the Wallabies game against Fiji as well. In terms of the rest of the week, as I say, game on Wednesday. Monday, I'm recording this Monday morning. The Lions are announcing their team to take on the Brumbies later, so I'll have a separate video on that. So loads more stuff coming your way. Have a comment down below about anything I touch upon in the video. Give me your thoughts, like the video as well, and subscribe to the channel. But let's go on a walk around Canberra. So the Wallabies, I caught the first half of this game in the airport in Sydney, and I've caught up on the second half once I landed here in Canberra. Their first hit out and their last hit out before they play the Lions in the first test, so it's kind of the only time we've seen them. And I'll be honest, overall from what I've seen, was a little disappointed. In that it was really scrappy. It was quite sloppy in parts, and you could well say that the Lions have been exactly the same, and they've been together for plenty of time, and they've got top quality players, and we've seen them be really sloppy and scrappy. So, you know, why criticise the Australians for that? I suppose my hope with the Wallabies was that they had been in camp for so long, in the way that you see teams get into camp pre-World Cup, and then that period is just so crucial in making them a much stronger team than what you see kind of the rest of the year when they're in and out of camp and only there for short periods of time. But there's a lot of drop balls, quite disjointed, but they did get the win. And I think that's really important for the Test series. In normal circumstances, a Fiji victory would be something that, you know, I might celebrate a bit more there. But I think because of this Test series against the Lions, we want it and need it to be as competitive as possible. And you really don't want the narrative heading into it as a Lions team that aren't playing all that well at the moment, a Wallabies team that are 8th in the world and have lost to Fiji. So from that point of view, I was really happy to see Australia win. And Australia, I think, will definitely still have traits that they feel they can really hurt the Lions with. Like on the floor, that's been a weakness for the Lions so far. In a lot of the games that we've seen them play, there were moments where the Wallabies looked really strong in that area against Fiji. I still think they have a skill set that if the Lions continue to attack in the way that they are at the moment, where it's quite expansive and they're trying to move it wide, I think they'll actually get more direct. But I still think there's a skill set in this Australia team that when they execute well, will be able to hurt the Lions. They didn't execute particularly well against the Fijians. But yeah, I just was maybe hoping for a little bit more of a comprehensive performance, given the fact that they've been in camp for so long in the build-up to the game, and it's the last game we're going to see them play before that first test against the Lions. So we'll see what the Test series looks like. I think there's still a lot of unknowns and ifs, buts and maybes for both sides at this moment in time, which is why the Brumbies game for the Lions is so important, I think, because it, on paper, should be their toughest test. I think we're going to see later Andy Farrell name a very, very strong side, and a team that I don't think it'll be the first Test team, but it'll be pretty close to it. And also don't forget that the Lions game after the Brumbies is this kind of invitational Anzac team that have some great names on paper, but it could end up probably being a bit of a Barbarians game. Now, often we've seen the Barbarians beat England and beat various other top nations relatively recently, but in terms of how much that's going to prepare the Lions for the Test series, I would probably have a few question marks over. But outside of the Wallabies not looking absolutely incredible, how about that Fiji try? The one in the second half. They have a skill set that is just pretty much unrivaled, isn't it? What a team. They do some things that just frustrate the hell out of you, but it's kind of just their style, isn't it? And that try, completely forget the name of the try scorer now, they went from basically way back inside their own half, broke through, scored in the corner, like, absolutely ridiculous. And what a performance from them. Gutting for them as well, because some of the officiating decisions, particularly for the try that was chalked off, which is what I'm going to come on to now in terms of the TMO, I thought they were a bit hard done by. But yeah, great performance from Fiji. And Australia, am I being harsh on them? I was just hoping for a little bit more. And as I've said already, I know the Lions haven't been all that spectacular, but I just really want this test series to be good. I really want us to have a competitive, compelling test series. And I think we could still get that. I actually think we will still get that. This result doesn't mean I think like that's never going to happen. But yeah, I was thinking they'd look a little bit more slick, I suppose, given the time they've had in camp. So what better place to complain about the TMO than the old Parliament House Gardens here in Canberra. So the old Parliament building is, you might be able to see kind of the white one over there, not that one immediately, I'll show you in a minute. And then the new Parliament building I think is further around. So it's pretty quiet here in Canberra at the moment. It's quite nice, but I think it's school holidays. Anyway, TMO. Are we heading towards a test series where the TMO is far too involved? Now, this isn't a totally new thing at all. It's been spoken about before. There's been plenty of people that have complained about it and raised concerns about it. But off the back of the Lions game against the Waratahs, and again, the Wallabies match against Fiji, I just wonder, my fear is we're heading for a test series where the TMO is so involved. And there's loads of different decisions that you could pick through, but two examples for you would be the try that got ruled out for the Waratahs at the line out when they set up the maul, Fergus Lee Warner getting slightly in front of the jumper, and then it got chalked off when the TMO got involved. And then there was the Fiji try where Harry Potter had his foot in touch, and I think because it was 2 phases before the try, they were able to go back and look at it, whereas if it was less phases, it's not something they would necessarily look at. Now, in both instances, there'll be loads of you that will be saying, well, they got the right decisions, didn't they? So what are you complaining about? And I totally get that, and this is what makes it such a tricky conversation, because ultimately you want the right decisions. I suppose my frustrations and my concerns stem from TMOs getting involved in trying to completely officiate a match and picking up things that no one necessarily picked up in the first place. No one would necessarily be complaining about if they weren't picked up. And this pursuit of perfection, which just leads to the TMO always involved, a really stop-start game. I feel like it kind of undermines the referee as well, because they're just absolutely going through everything with a microscope. And I get it's a difficult conversation because we want the right decisions. But I think there has to be some sort of balance where the TMOs are almost only coming in for stuff that was super obvious. And even that's a grey area, because what do you determine as being like really, really obvious? But what do you think? The quest for perfection from TMOs, I think, is becoming more of an issue in terms of how the game is officiated and the rules are implemented. And I guess the reason this is a huge problem is you could literally go through everything and find something somewhere. Another example from the Lions game was the clear out. Was it the clear out for the Waratahs try that eventually did stand? Was it on Hansen? Again, I can't remember exactly, but you'll know the one that I mean. And as soon as you see the replay of it, I thought, you can tell, no, it's absolutely fine, play on. But the TMO's got involved. They look at about 1,000 different replays. Another great example, actually, is the forward pass for the try Australia did score, Harry Potter, when he kicked it over, the pass to him. Again, you can watch one replay of that, and you can see it's a forward pass. And then they looked at it 4 or 5 times. Give it to me in slow-mo, give it to me in real time, give it to me from the angle on the other side of the touchline at a different camera angle. And it's just taking the momentum and the flow out of these games. So frustrating. My rant over. That's old Parliament House. So yeah, they've got to be careful with it. I don't necessarily have a solution, which I know is really helpful when someone raises a problem and doesn't have an obvious solution. But off the back of those 2 games, it just strikes me that that is potentially going to be a problem this test series. And that is the new Parliament building behind me. Flip it around. The old Parliament building that I just showed you is down that way. And here we are at the new Parliament building. Probably a good point really for me to end the video. Let me know what you make of my ramblings. Hopefully I made sense on both the Aussie team at the moment and also the TMO and TMO's potential role in this series. I think it's quite important and worth considering at least. Lions team news later, so I'll be heading to that. and let's see what team they go with. I think they'll go pretty strong. Appreciate you all watching. Drop a comment down below, let me know anything I've touched upon in the video. Like the video as well, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing like all of these walk and talks from down here in Australia. Appreciate it. See you in the next one.